of machinery besides. Well, venerable apostle, you will see what I am going to make of her." With these words the monk, Magis, reached the female penguin in 3 bounds, lifted her up, carried her in his arms, with her hair trailing behind her, and threw her, overcome with fright, at the feet of the holy male. And whilst she wept and begged him to do her no harm, he took a pair of sandals out of his chest, and commanded her to put them on. "Her feet," observed the old man, "will appear smaller when squeezed in by the woolen cords. The soles, being 2 fingers high, will give an elegant length to her legs, and the weight they bear will seem magnified." As the penguin tied on her sandals, she threw a curious look towards the open coffer, and seeing that it was full of jewels and finery, she smiled through her tears. The monk twisted her hair on the back of her head and covered it with a chaplet of flowers. He encircled her wrist with golden bracelets, and making her stand upright, he passed a large linen band beneath her breasts, alleging that her bosom would thereby derive a new dignity, and that her sides would be compressed to the greater glory of her hips. He fixed this band with pins, taking them one by one out of his mouth. "You can tighten it still more," said the penguin. When he had with much care and study enclosed the soft parts of her bust in this way, he covered her whole body with a rose-colored tunic, which gently followed the lines of her figure. "Does it hang well?" asked the penguin. And bending forward, with her head on one side and her chin on her shoulder, she kept looking attentively at the appearance of her toilette. Magis asked her if she did not think the dress a little long, but she answered with assurance that it was not. She would hold it up. Immediately taking the back of her skirt in her left hand, she drew it obliquely across her hips, taking care to disclose a glimpse of her heels. Then she went away, walking with short steps and swinging her hips. She did not turn her head, but as she passed near a stream, she glanced out of the corner of her eye at her own reflection. A male penguin, who met her by chance, stopped in surprise, and retracing his steps began to follow her. As she went along the shore, others coming back from fishing went up to her, and after looking at her, walked behind her. Those who were lying on the sand got up and joined the rest. Unceasingly, as she advanced, fresh penguins descending from the paths of the mountain, coming out of clefts of the rocks and emerging from the water, added to the size of her retinue. And all of them, men of ripe age, with vigorous shoulders and hairy breasts, agile youths, old men shaking the multitudinous wrinkles of their rosy and white-haired skins, or dragging their legs thinner and drier than the juniper staff that served them as a third leg, hurried on, panting and emitting an acrid odor and hoarse gasps. Yet she went on peacefully, and seemed to see nothing. "Father," cried Magis, "notice how each one advances with his nose pointed towards the center of gravity of that young damsel, now that the center is covered by a garment. The sphere inspires the meditations of geometers by the number of its properties. When it proceeds from a physical and living nature, it acquires new qualities, and in order that the interest of that figure might be fully revealed to the penguins, it was necessary that, ceasing to see it distinctly with their eyes, they should be led to represent it to themselves in their minds. I myself feel at this moment irresistibly attracted towards that penguin, whether it be because her skirt gives more importance to her hips, and that in its simple magnificence it invests them with a synthetic and general character and allows only the pure idea, the divine principle of them to be seen. Whether this be the cause I cannot say, but I feel that if I embraced her I would hold in my hands the heaven of human pleasure. It is certain that modesty communicates an invincible attraction to women. My uneasiness is so great that it would be vain for me to try to conceal it." He spoke, and gathering up his habit, he rushed among the crowd of penguins, pushing, jostling, trampling, and crushing until he reached the daughter of Alca, whom he seized and suddenly carried in his arms into a cave that had been hollowed out by the sea. Then the penguins felt as if the sun had gone out, and the holy male knew that the devil had taken the features of the monk Magis in order that he might give clothes to the daughter of Alca. He was troubled in spirit, and his soul was sad. As with slow steps he went towards his hermitage, he saw the little penguins of 6 and 7 years of age tightening their waists with belts made of seaweed, and walking along the shore to see if anybody would follow them. End of chapter 1.